Hello, we are Nerds of the West, and today we're giving you our thoughts on Curses and Covens, a 1v-many card game all about hunting witches, and oddly enough, protecting witches. Its theme isn't quite absolutely based on reality, but its art and everything about it is absolutely gorgeous. We are going to be giving you our thoughts so that you can decide if this is a game that you might want to check out. We'll also be ranking it on our Nerds of the West ranking board. You can visit that on nerdsofthewest.com or .com.au. We bought both domains because we're very smart people and we make sure people can find our website. This is our list of games that we have played this year and our thoughts on it, not based on if one game is better than another, but just if given the opportunity, what we would prefer to play. My name is Tom. We have Sean.
Hello.
We have Beck.
Hi.
We have a Brie.
Hi.
And we have a Lachlan.
Howdy.
I'm going to start where I always like to do, with the art. Who has thoughts? Who has opinions?
Good art.
Pretty good. Pretty good. My favorite card is, besides the donkey, is the ritual card, I think.
Yeah, the ritual card is real cool.
Yeah, the ritual card is awesome.
No, but like, and all the cards are gorgeous. I like the fact that even though the witches are the same colours, they still drew like individual witches. Also, I'm pretty sure this witch is a disabled witch, and I like it.
Differently abled is a better term for it.
I don't like differently abled.
It's just because you are differently
I
abled.
will say
I
that
know.
this is a prototype of the game, and art and gameplay may change before it hits full retail release. I hope they don't change anything.
Yeah,
I don't want them to
doesn't.
change the witches. I
yeah.
love the witches.
I don't think there's
Where's
anything,
the one with
I don't
the
think there's
cat?
anything to change.
No.
Like, they've got the symbols for what the cards are.
My only hope is that some of the villages are not doubled up, that they do.
yeah.
Yeah, like
Maybe
I,
they add a
I
couple
was
of
gonna
villages.
say the same thing. Like, because you could do a similar thing in this way. Like, you could have, because there are a couple of grandmas in there. There are a couple of like school mistresses or whatever. Like, you could change them to like town officials. You could
We
have
could
like,
have a few more donkeys.
you know, moms and families. I think you can only have one ass in the town, but like, you know, craftsmen, and then like have a couple of different, you know, officials, like
that's
fishmongers.
not- yeah, and like that saying, cards are bloody gorgeous, and we just want you to make. I think the problem here is we just want you to make more art.
We just want to see more art.
We just want to see
Yeah.
more art from the
I mean,
artists. That's
even
what's
then,
happened
the
here.
one thing I really like is it's really easy to tell when it's a villager card, but it's not like a boring.
Yeah.
It's not a boring card.
Just
Like,
like
there's still.
doesn't mean it's
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah, there's still interesting stuff about them that
mean,
I think is really.
I reckon it would have been.
and it sets the scene.
I reckon it would have been worse if it was white on the background of that card instead of just the cream. Like, I feel like that was a nice touch.
beige works the best.
Beige.
I also.
Developers are providing updates in our Twitch tab, which you can join when we stream every single week. We are providing unique art for all the villages, and you can follow for updates on their website.
Hey.
awesome.
We get everything we want.
Okay.
The other thing that I really like is that, let's say, color interpretation is an issue. You don't need to have. Like,
Color
you don't
vision.
need to have
You
good
can be
color vision
colorblind.
to be able to see what each card represents, and it's because they're themed. So all the pink ones are like love witches, blue ones are crystal witches, and so they all have something to do with crystals in some way, and then the nature witches all are.
Also, they
Crystals
have
or snow.
And then they have the
these
symbols.
so that helps as well.
Yeah,
and
helps
then
you group
these
them together.
cards are so different, so you know immediately
Well, I mean, like
when you get.
they're little doom cards, so they really do the doom
It's a
quite
picture
well.
of my soul.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Gameplay-wise,
Yeah.
this game has a lot of simple rules because it is just discuss what you're going to do, get some new cards that change what that's going to do, move your cards around in the way that you hope is going to lead to your victory, and then the witch hunter tries to deduce exactly what has gone on and how he can best get to the situation that he wants.
I really like it personally.
But the meta games
Yeah,
that come
that's
from
why.
I would say
It's
it's
like
like
with the verbal.
it's so simple and yet so fast, even though it's so simple that we overgamed it, which
Yeah.
is not necessarily a bad thing.
But it gives you the opportunity to overgame it.
Oh,
There are some
yeah.
games that are deduction games that you hit the deduction and that's it.
Yeah.
And we likened it to Secrets earlier, one of our favourite deduction games, where you can't just hit that level because things are constantly moving. This gives you the opportunity to constantly move things in a strategic way to try and outsmart the other player.
Yeah.
I think additionally as well, the beauty of this, it's a social deduction game. We're having a phase where we're all speaking and we're all deciding on stuff. But there's nothing to say that, like, because I feel like there was an element where we were, like, talking to each other, but then you also would keep that, like, little
You have a second plan.
a second plan
that
in your
you-
head that you're ready to play, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna give Beck my witch, and then in my head I'm like, I'm
No,
giving
okay.
Beck my witch.
That was
So
exactly
The
it.
bluff,
Yeah.
double bluff.
yeah.
It's because like Tom is right there.
Exactly.
Like the witch hunter is always right there and they can hear exactly what you're planning to do. And so you could do that and then they can base their play on what the people have said they're going to do. But then it makes much more sense to be like, yes, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Because then you can't trust what we say.
Yeah.
You can also decide you're going to do that, and then the information changes.
Exactly.
You can decide we're going to pass all the witches to someone or spread them around, and then suddenly there's 3 more witches at the table.
Oh, yeah.
And not only is that information only known to me because I'm the person who gets to look at it, later on in the game, once I've got a ritual, I then get to choose where that information goes, which changes things majorly.
Yeah. How do you
Especially-
feel about the memory aspect of it from a witch hunter's point of view?
Fairly easy in the end, because at the start, if there's a whole bunch of witches on the table, either I'm about to lose really quickly or I'm about to find a witch really quickly. I don't have to remember where specific witches are. If there's only a few witches, it's fairly easy to remember. If there's only 1 or 2 rituals out, I can go, all right, I know Sean's got a ritual, so I don't want to pick from him. He's passed the card to Beck, so I don't want to pick from Beck. So I'll pick from those 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and it resets every round. as well.
Resets every single round, which really, really
And I
helps.
think the charm and the curse cards are great as well because it's like you are.
It's a tiny inconvenience. It's a little inconvenience.
It doesn't overpower it to the way that, you know, we are completely screwing with him because you don't get to keep using them. But that one round where we all just moved cards like crazy just to mess with you was
So much fun.
it was beautiful
great,
because you somebody that is fairly decent at like remembering where cards are, and to an extent this is a game where you're allowed to count cards, and so you're sitting there counting cards and then 5 seconds later we're like
Yeah, it's incredibly satisfying, not only because I'm trying to count those cards, but trying to metagame what you guys are doing within that. And then the metagames and the on metagames, to me is an
the
incredibly
point
satisfying gameplay loop.
that we metagamed so hard.
You metagamed
won.
with me, not just
We
the game
met-
choice.
we
you
started
metagamed me
metagaming.
personally.
I think as easy as it is to point out Tom's flaws like this, it's also important. It's important to know. It's important to know
Oh
that
man.
he was doing the exact same thing with us. Like
you
every
need this card.
Yeah.
you want ice for that burn. But like he was doing the same thing to us when he
Yeah.
was like, Beck wouldn't have done this. She would have passed it along.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those games that kind of leans into it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I like that too much. I'm not a big fan of like social deduction games in which it's entirely based on the people at the table. Like, and it's nothing against the game. I think it's great. It's just when it ends up being like that, you sort of end up being like, I can do what this person expects me to do. I can do something different, but chances are, like,
You're
get it.
playing rock, paper, scissors with somebody that you've played 1,000 games of rock, paper, scissors of.
yeah, it's pretty much that. It's still a really good game. I really like it, but I'm not a fan of metagaming.
Yeah, fair.
Like,
I love the meta.
I think it was really funny the way that it played out,
Yeah.
but it's like, it shouldn't have played out like that, if that makes sense.
I mean, I thought it was
It
going to be
also played out to that point because the game went on that long.
Yeah, that we
I-
noticed a trend.
I do wonder, the longer the game goes on, the more it starts to weigh towards the villagers, because either I'm just moving villagers around as the witch hunter, or you're moving stuff around to the point that you're activating curses and charms, and that's giving you an advantage.
That being said, though, you had 4 witches,
I had
and
4
we
witches,
had
which
nothing
meant
to win.
You couldn't win, but I also
Yeah.
couldn't move the game in a direction that gave me more of a chance to win. I just had to take the chance to do it because I wonder, and it might change depending on how many games you play, if instead of taking the villagers, the townsfolk, and passing them back to someone, if once you pick them, they're removed from the game, it does start shrinking things down and giving you an actual eventual end game. 'Cause there is the possibility that no matter what I do, I'll always pick a villager and the game won't actually come to an end.
That being said, though, I feel like you were so close to winning so many times, whereas I felt like we were running by the, like, our butt was on fire and we were running and there was no water. and we were just like
Yeah.
sweating.
I mean, I was kind of worried that it was going to run into the problem that like the Resistance has, where the meta, like the game finds a meta, but
I think
we at the start had a plan, and then you foiled it, and we were scrambling.
Oh,
we
yeah.
were scrambling to come up with a new plan, and we were like, right, what do we
Yeah.
do? We've got nothing. Everyone's just got villages, and all the witches have just been turned into the deck now. You've pulled our plan right out from under us, which I thought was actually really cool, because
Yeah.
otherwise it would run into that issue of the meta game becoming too meta-y, and that's how you play it every time. Whereas I don't think that would be the case,
No,
because
yeah.
you have the run around, you have the charms, you have the situation of what's going on with the witch hunter. So I think it's going to be quite varied every time you play.
Yeah, and I just want I like how you got one of every color and you got the wild, which made it hard for us to win too. So that really blocked us off from going for that. It turned us, like you were saying, into survival mode.
it locked us out of an entire win condition when Tom did that.
So we had to focus on the ritual game, which
or
was a bit
getting
of
him to take the fake witch so that
Yeah.
we could reopen
exactly
that.
right.
Yeah.
But
So that was
choosing
good.
which path you go
Yeah.
down, giving yourselves the opportunity for that, just shows that there's a decent layer of strategy.
Exactly.
Well, it's like, it's either this round or we hold out another round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we risk it and try and go for another round. Or we try and
Do
put
you
out-
look for charms? Do you look for
Yeah,
curses?
we were like,
where are you going to end up?
Do we try and go for the curses, which means we have to load up our witches with one person, which
Yeah.
at that
Which is
point
risky.
we're risking stuff. Like it was a whole thing. So I'm like,
I think it's a well
yeah,
balanced game.
I enjoyed it a lot.
And that comes down to the individual person, not necessarily the team, because
Exactly.
we all kind of had our ideas of what we were gonna do, but then yeah, you can be like, you know what? I'm just gonna try and get someone to be able to cast a charm next turn. Like even though we agreed that we were gonna load up Bree or we were gonna like
that
wash
was-
things around,
yeah.
it's like you have the ultimate say of what you do with your cards for that round, which
And that was
definitely
great.
is a nice balance as opposed to it. There's no quarterbacking because you have the decision, and many times it came down to exactly what you chose to do because the new information forces you to reconsider what has been said and then what you've got in front of you, and you've forgotten what everyone else has.
The reason
Yeah.
we lost our first tactic was literally because all we said was, Brie, hey, you should have a real magical hand.
Village.
Village. And so I went, well, I know that there's a witch in the middle, and Lachlan's just over here, and immediately he's like, we didn't say anything about woods. Like, was so salty because, again, I was like, I took information that Lachlan had said and then went,
It's because
think
we
that
were.
what means what? So, like,
I think that's
the
when
non-verbal thing is great.
that's when communication comes into it as well, because it's like, again, you're trying to relay information to your teammates as well as not giving it too much to the witch hunter.
Which means that somebody can completely do like Lachlan was like, yeah, I'm giving her a plan, and then I went, this is what he means, and then and we couldn't actually. I love the
Yeah, couldn't actually do anything. I will say one final thing before we move on to ranking it. The theme is interesting to me because historically witches were the negative. The witch hunts were get rid of them, there's only one of them, find them. This changes that to the townfolk protecting the witches, which is a really nice way to look at it, and I enjoy that.
But they're still doing rituals,
They're
man.
still doing rituals.
It's called protection.
Rituals would be good.
So let's have a look at our Nerds of the West ranking board. As I said, this is based on not us thinking that one game is necessarily better than another, just if given the opportunity, what we would prefer to play. For us personally, that means heavier games are quite often at the top because that is what we vibe with. But also King Domino is one of the best games that we have played this year. So
Hey,
love
heavier
this
games are
Domino.
not generally at the top. We've got Too Many Cooks, Fight the Blight, King
Yeah,
Domino.
we usually.
but the very top is Ark
no,
Nova and Toon Imperium.
But we usually end up with like a heavy game right at the top of the list, and then party games, and then we get into the rest of it. That's just usually.
So
what happens.
this sits in a weird spot then because this isn't a party game. This is at its core a fairly lightweight card game. We had quite a long game of it, but I can also see it being quite a short game most of the time. I'm definitely keen to play this with different groups of people and see how it goes. And for that reason, I want to play more of it. And it's going to sit up here with Roll Camera, Hollywood. Very similar to Hollywood in feel. For me, Hollywood 1947, the Dark Cities game. So that's where it sits for me.
Honestly, same. Like I was looking at.
Continuing along, I would probably say it's level with Too Many Cooks and Fight the Blight for me.
Ooh,
That's where I put it.
nice.
Yeah. You know, because all of those are quite quick games on the same sort of level as this, in my opinion. And yeah, I'd happily play it along with every one of those.
Like, I'm not disagreeing with that. I think I probably just put it down. Like, I don't want to put it in this line because that's just excessive. But like, it's very similar to Hidden Leaders as well.
Yeah.
For me, like, it's an agenda game
very
with
similar.
like that sort of thing. I think for me, it's maybe a little bit below Too Many Cooks, because Too Many Cooks, you don't have to read people. You just have to do the thing that works best for you. And then with Hidden Leaders, you're just doing your own thing and hoping that it works for everyone else at the table. So this just fits in the middle of that really nicely, where it's a good card game for collection, but then you also have to have a little bit of human interaction to make it work.
Yeah. Great.
For that reason, I think I'd play Curses and Covens above Too Many Cooks, because I love reading, like trying to read people and playing the metagame. So
That's definitely
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
definitely people have those like.
I'd put it
Billy doesn't like cooperative
there.
games, whereas you love the meta.
Billy does enjoy 1v many cooperative games though, which
does.
makes
So he-
it true.
So he might actually like being the witch hunter in this
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, and then like having all the information, and we didn't have all the information. So I'm going to put it the lowest out of all of us. Then I'm going to put it below Northgard because I would rather play Mysterium Park over Curses and Covens. I still really enjoy it, and this is obviously a very top-heavy game.
But that's an interesting comparison, because Mysterium Park is 1v many, but fully cooperative, while this is 1v many. Fully against.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I still really enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I did really enjoy it.
But if
But I also
someone was
really
like,
like Fight the Blight, and I
Yeah.
really like Too Many Cooks.
and if someone was like, hey, do you want to play Mysterium Park or Curses or Covens? You go, oh, crack out Mysterium Park.
Yeah, go on.
So it still sits in this lovely, big, solid 8 out of 10 massive area there. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you are going to check out this game, and let us know if you have played it, where you've played it, and what you think of it, because we love hearing about other people's enjoyment with games. If you want to see more reviews, we have a whole bunch on YouTube. If you want to see this game played through, it will also be up on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching, and we will catch you next time.